journalists in India today are going through challenges when it comes to covering politically sensitive stories.
उसको जेल में रखना, उसको सताना, उसका पूरा करियर, उसका पूरा कैरेक्टर खराब कर देना, ये जो है बहुत ही गलत है. किसी भी बेटी के साथ ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए.
I am in the editorial department, and very fortunately, I don't have to go, so that I can get back home to my family. But the state of politics in India right now, and also of the media helping out this political narrative, that's a bigger letdown.
There are opinions, okay, and every opinion is so polarized, okay. There is no scope of discussion.
Now it's either my way or the highway.
What has been the most significant political change in the country in the last 10 years?
Complete disregard for the common person, common man, stroke woman.
Why do you say so?
You need to even ask that. I mean, it's very visible. The somebody bearing their fangs and not being apologetic at all.
We come from a state which was controlled by one party for 32 years. You're trying to tell me that this did not exist before?
Have you heard Hindutva rap?
I have.
I'm going to get a good thrashing after this gets broadcast.
Hello everyone and welcome to NMN Pods. I am your host for today and my name is Ananya Sen. Today we have with us a very talented person. He's not just a news journalist, he's also an actor and writer. Please welcome Anirban Bhattacharya. Hi Anirbanda and welcome to today's podcast. So, let me cut to the chase, okay? Because you're a journalist yourself. How does the political narrative by the media influence the public perception of political parties and voter behavior in general?
Okay, first of all, thank you, Ananya, for having me here. And let me not cut to the chase.
Okay.
and
So typical of you. Okay. All right.
No, because when we started, just a few seconds back, we were all smiles.
Right.
And we are here to discuss about politics. I'm not sure, should that bring a bigger smile, given the current state of politics, given the current state of media? So I think I may sound a bit sarcastic. I may sound a bit pessimist. I would like to believe I'm a diehard optimist. But the state of politics in India right now, and also of the media helping out this political narrative, that's a bigger letdown. I, being a part of this media, fortunately or unfortunately, I'm not sure. I have no qualms in surrendering to you, everybody, that, this is the true nature of media. Now, you're coming back to your question. Look, the political narrative that plays out in the media, that to some extent does, I would like to believe, does even till date influence polling behavior. But the politics exactly is in the way you put out a particular point of view. Because I'm a student of history and we have always been taught by our teachers that, look, a set of teachers wanted us to believe that there is only one truth. Probably there is only one truth. But what about the different faces of that one truth? Yeah. So a historian, and history is also so very misused in these days. I mean, these days, yeah. So a new narrative is uh, written,
and
and
it's being written now.
yeah. Over the last many years, but to be very specific, the last 10 years.
Mm.
So same here, that uh, a particular thing has happened in a particular place, and there are reporters, I mean journalists, who cover that particular incident. I mean, if this is a cup and which has water inside it, and you also report the same thing to your authorities, I mean back to your office, I also do the same. But the next day, your version and my version and many other versions may not match. But this was the truth. So it's how I and you and everybody looks at it. And obviously, every media outlet has its own set of TGs, believers. Now, this is again a very big question mark, that do we still have ardent believers in the truth, number one, in the way a particular piece of truth is being showcased. I'm not sure the people still believe
Social media.
Social media and TV before that. So, because it's how I show you this. So definitely people, now there are two sets of, I have come across people, you too, I am sure, those who stay away from news and those who are only into this. So that's the whole divide. So a big population obviously don't worry about what is happening. They only know that a particular party is in power, I mean a coalition, but okay, a party is in power and they have this as their agenda. And now everybody has their own agendas, fine. But they are pushing it in a particular way. So either I resist, or I don't, I give in to that, or I merrily celebrate that. So more than the media used to shape earlier, and now I'm not sure how much they do. But having said that, independent media is trying to hold on to that.
I was coming to that. So basically the thing is, these days, at least what I get a sense of is that, there are opinions, okay, and every opinion is so polarized, okay. There is no scope of discussion or a debate. Debate is when two people are discussing, it's not necessarily a fight. So do you think that the media today, or the way the media is representing news, political news, is making people polarized? Because, even before the advent of social media, the way it is now, like going back at least 10 years, there was still, even with TV, there was the scope of having a discussion, where people were still friends. These days, and I'm talking from a very Aam Aadmi point of view here, it's difficult to even make friends who have a different political ideology, to have a healthy conversation with people out there because of their political ideologies. Do you think the media is responsible because of this state that we have all come to?
To some extent, definitely. Yeah. But you're I think logic has gone out of the window. Reasoning, logic, reasoning. Now it's either my way or the highway.
Correct.
And one very sad or dangerous, in fact, both thing, and this is the election year, and we are going to have the elections in some days. It's being stoked now. I always believed that us, so-called liberals, middle class liberals. I mean, there is this thing ingrained in us. There's this animosity against a particular community and a particular class, and that was always inside us. Education, that is another thing that is going out of the window nowadays. Forget about that. So education and our upbringing, that led us to suppress that thing inside us. And there are some people, there's some external agencies at work who are trying to dig it up and make it an issue bigger than unemployment, bigger than, say, the economic crisis we are in, the world is in fact.
Climate change.
Yeah, climate change. Again.
Oh my God.
Climate change.
Nobody seems to talk about it.
Yes, but we only get, rainfall, rain in months which we never had.
Yes,
we
we are
wildfires
going
and
to be
this
the
and
first
that.
few nations who is going to get affected by climate change.
But again, we probably won't, I don't know, probably we are going to, we understand suffering and we are waiting for it probably. We need to suffer. We need, I know these are very harsh words, but we need our own to die. Otherwise, I know, all journalists know, we have to be very insensitive sometimes. Like there is in the newsroom, and we are bound to have that. We have accident news and all those things. Now, say there are 15 accidents in a particular day. Somebody decides, he or she has to decide that which 4 would be featured and the rest won't. So how do they decide? How grotesque it is. Yeah. And from there, and I may sound that I am talking against the journalists. No, they don't have any other choice, because at the end of the day, it's business too. And who would read those papers? The common people. They actually want that. I had
Otherwise, you're saying people will not be interested in
they
this?
aren't. Yes, they would compare that newspaper had this and how child's head got severed, but your paper did not have that detail. You missed it. I work in the editorial and I've got letters, mails rather. You didn't have. What? Your journalist couldn't get that piece of information. We get angry, we laugh, we are stunned. That's a mic in front of a grieving mother or a father in front of a morgue, and he or she asks, or they are bound to, because it's their duty. It's their job. They're being paid for that. Go and get me a bite from a grieving mother or a father.
So you're trying to say that the fact that today the people are getting polarized, the entire brunt of it should not be given to the media. Media is not solely responsible for it.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Media is responsible.
Oh.
Yeah, media obviously is responsible, but not solely responsible. How can we be? How can we be? What have I done? I may write a post edit, or I may write fiery articles that we should be doing this, we should be stopping distortion of history and all of those things. Fine, that is fine at a certain level. But what next? I go back home and I have to plan my next issue.
Okay, tell me something. In your view, what has been the most significant political change in the country in the last 10 years?
This is one that I've got a bigger
that
smile.
We can smile.
Yeah. And complete disregard for common man.
Why do you say so?
You need to even ask that?
Yes.
Okay.
It's my job to ask you that, in case you don't
Shutting up
realize
my-
that.
Okay. It's very visible. Somebody bearing their fangs
Mm.
and not being apologetic at all. They're
Hmm.
so happy. We are this. I am this. Number one is I.
Hmm.
I has become very important. I was important earlier too,
Hmm.
with other dispensions too. But I now is the thing. There is only one truth. Yeah, there's only one truth. But the state-sponsored truth. We have read in history books.
Listen, we come from a state which was controlled by one party for 32 years. You're trying to tell me that this did not exist before?
Yeah, it did. But that particular party you're talking about, they were very, I think, I would like to believe they were very, they very judiciously had they let off the steam. They had certain outlets, very controlled ones.
Hmm.
That, okay, you're not happy with this. Let out the steam, let out the steam, let out the steam. We are going to ultimately throttle you, but let out the steam. So that letting out the steam probably helped them.
Nowhere.
They don't believe so. But this is also very interesting, Anona. Whenever they have a political rally, I have seen people, I mean, I've seen the city, I mean, you also definitely have, you have bore the brunt of this. The city collapses.
Hmm.
How does that happen? Not only, I mean, you cannot promise people biryani. You can to some extent, but that huge participation,
Hmm.
at least in terms of count,
Hmm.
but that does not obviously at all translate to votes. This again is very interesting. And talking of the way politics plays out in the entire India,
Hmm.
dole politics is so very interesting. I have heard stories about, I mean, in the Northeast, I'll just take an example. In the Northeast, there are villages where people are so poor, and two or three parties, they go to canvass before elections. And the first thing they promise them is, look, you come to a meeting and I'll give you this cheap liquor or toddy or something, and some money too. So you would have the same faces in all those three meetings.
Hmm.
But then at the end of the day, they would go back home and count. Okay, this party gave me this party gave me 10 more, this party gave me 20 more. So, okay, fine, I'll vote for them. We would write democracy at work, or is it at work, and all those things. When our journalist friends talk to them, they're so very forthright in answering. They say that, look, what would I do in a situation when nobody gives me anything? And now suddenly I have three parties giving me this. So I'll definitely vote for them and I'll take all the money. Otherwise, I'm not going to survive. This is a part of India.
Propaganda films or propaganda songs are nothing new. You know, art has always been used as a medium to propagate. You know, especially by the left. There's an art form for it. What is it that makes you feel so hopeless?
A few years back, we had Rang De Basanti. Rang De Basanti had its own agenda, right? Try and make Rang De Basanti now. Would you be able to do it? Agenda is fine. Yeah, the Soviets used it. You won't find, I mean, you would obviously find films with Dharti Kahe Pukar and all those things. So that had a particular agenda. But there was no animosity against I mean, yeah, the villain always used to be the capitalist. Yeah, bourgeois. Yeah,
the bourgeois class.
So, but nobody said go and, I mean, break their houses, kill them, dismember them, do this and do that. No, not that. Yeah, the factory lockouts needed to be, the factories needed to be opened. Yeah. And the workers would go and do that.
Yeah, but Lenin did kill the entire Tsar family, including the children.
I'm talking about the ones made in India. The Soviets and the Germans all definitely did those, as you said. I'm talking about the ones in India. So only in India.
But interestingly, when you look at world politics, and when you're talking about animosity towards just one group or one section of people. Today, when you look at world politics, it's equally bad. I mean, there are currently 3 wars going on simultaneously as we talk, based on religion animosity.
Yeah, the far right obviously is on ascendancy all over the world. And there's a conclave of far right supporting countries, and people were so very astonished that India used to be a part of that. This year they haven't participated. That's a great, again,
irony.
In fact, I would say some brilliant strategy play. Yeah,
I don't know about you, but I really think that this is because of the social media. Again, because we've become so opinionated. In Twitter, we're X now. We have to say what our opinions are, and if someone contradicts that, then there is this entire section of like hate comments and argument
the
over there.
so-called cancel culture and all that.
Correct. And I think that is one big reason why we are becoming so polarized.
But Anona, is that a reason, or
is that a result?
Exactly. We knew that this gun culture in USA. I mean, we had mass killings there. They used to have very lenient gun laws, possession of gun. They do, yeah.
Okay, do you think that journalists in India today are going through challenges when it comes to covering politically sensitive stories?
I would start with answering that fortunately, I am in the editorial department.
Okay, so you're saying that there isn't any challenge that you have to face as such?
No, I just said, thankfully, I can go back to my family every
So
day.
you do face challenges.
I mean, how can you not?
So tell me something. Does social media play a very important role when it comes to the political campaigns, before an election?
Yeah. So now you don't need a particular Bollywood star to canvass for you. That's gone. Okay. Now you would want to penetrate into the local households, into the villages, into every nook and corner of your area, constituency, with social media influences. Nowadays, if I talk about the Bengali film industry, and don't get me wrong, I have friends in the film industry, I have friends who are YouTubers. And I have seen literally both of them walking together. Tollywood celebrity is fairly known, but people throng to the YouTuber. So the political parties know the pulse of the people. We'll have to give it to them, definitely. They don't know probably, or they don't want to know what this person feels, but they know
how to reach out to them.
Yeah. How can I get them, to listen to me? Through social media influences. And now, and social media nowadays, earlier we joke even today that when something happens, an incident happens, then earlier people used to call the newspaper houses. Now, then there was a time when they used to call the electronic media first. Now they record it then and there, and it's on social media. And I've heard stories, it's not about us. I have heard stories where the journalists stay hooked on to the social media feeds and then say, something has happened, run. Your source should give you that.
Something very recent happened about a certain person claiming that she passed away. And the source was social media.
Yes.
No other source.
Yes.
So, again, when I come to social media, one important thing that I must talk about is the fact that today, again, dissent, was first shown by comedians and social media influencers who made jokes and who showed dissent. So we are also living simultaneously in a world where comedians are showing their dissent
and getting banished,
and getting banished.
exiled, and this and that. You had the Arab
But
Spring.
also standing up against.
Absolutely so. You had the Arab Spring. You remember, and that happened. Where did that happen? First of all, student politics. That is so very important, as always. The football stadiums in Middle East, the ultras. You know who the ultras are? The thugs, but fans of a particular football team.
Okay.
They rose up in revolt when a match was being played against the regime. So Arab Spring, happened because of them, and it got shared.
So, what I'm trying to get to over here is that even though we might think that, oh my God, it's so polarized, it's so hopeless, but then again, this attitude of showing dissent is still there and is coming. And probably times are not that dark as we usually think of it as.
I wish and I hope not. I may sound very dark.
But then again, that is, I think, what dissent truly is.
Yes.
That is, no matter how bad the times are, I'm not going to let it erode me.
Somebody is going to sing.
Someone has to sing and will sing. So, coming to the next question is that do you think that regional politics plays a very big part in shaping the national policies of our country?
To some extent, yes. To some extent. It depends on who is in power. For the last so many years, we have had only coalitions. Yeah, currently BJP is so powerful that technically it's a coalition, but it's a BJP. But with UPA, there was this pull and push of the regional parties. But again, the regional parties, obviously, it's how much they have this bargaining power. That is very important. It depends. Like earlier, Tamil Nadu, either have DMK or AIDMK. It depends on the personality. But yeah, to some extent, they can. It depends on who you are. So the state has to fight against the center, and the center has to withstand the blunt force of the state. This is again, there's this thin line where this is democracy. Again, this probably might not be democracy at all.
Interesting. Thank you, Anirbanda. I think this summarizes, our entire conversation today. But again, let's just choose to end this conversation with this one quote. That is again, this particular quote I heard from a documentary very recently, and which is basically the loudest dissent is not giving up, is still being hopeful, no matter how challenging the times are. So,
absolutely, and sorry to interrupt.
Let it not erode us away.
And I, quoting Maya Angelou, I think, the caged bird must sing.
Yes. So with that, we will end today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this conversation, and stay tuned for our next episode.